This episode is brought to you by Kia's first 3-row all-electric SUV, the Kia EV9, with available all-wheel drive and seating for up to 7 adults, with a 0 to 60 speed that thrills you 1 minute, and available reclining lounge seats that unwind you the next. Visit kia.com/EV9 to learn more. Ask your Kia dealer for availability. No system, no matter how advanced, can compensate for all driver error and or driving conditions. Always drive safely.
I'm Mo Rocca, and I'm excited to announce Season 4 of my podcast, Mobituaries. I've got a whole new bunch of stories to share with you about the most fascinating people and things who are no longer with us. From famous figures who died on the very same day, to the things I wish would die, like buffets. All that and much more. Listen to Mobituaries with Mo Rocca wherever you get your podcasts.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Looking for a great haircut or shave experience? Come to Champion Salon and Barber. Our skilled barbers and stylists are dedicated to giving you the best service possible. Whether you need a simple haircut or a complete grooming package, we have you covered. And while you're here, feel free to enjoy a complimentary beer and chat with our friendly staff. We have 2 convenient locations in Waco and Woodway, Texas. You can also book appointments online or through our app, making it easy to schedule your next visit. So why wait? Visit Champion Salon and Barber today and experience a cut above the rest.
Boobies.
Hi.
Hello and welcome to
Boobies.
Boobies. That's right. We're your hosts. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua.
And we're here to talk to you about some scary movies.
Some scary movies, some horror podtastic stuff going down today.
Podtastic.
And if you read the title,
it's Smile.
Smile.
Say cheese.
Queso.
Sausage.
Oh, sausage. What is that from? What is that from?
The Descent.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sausage. With the accent. Sausage. Which, that makes you smile. Sausage. What other words make you smile? Is that because that's the reason why, right? Like your cheeks make that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cheese. I don't know. Potato. No, potato doesn't make you. You're just smiling through all of them, though.
I
am. Well, smile.
Turns out I'm actually the demon.
Oh, that demon honestly freaked me out.
It kind of looked like it was drag gone wrong.
Yeah, I can see that. Mm-hmm.
Or maybe drag gone right.
Depending on who you're asking.
Yeah.
Depending on what competition it is. If
exactly.
it's for Dragula, it would
have been spot on.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. 2022 American psychological supernatural horror film. That's a mouthful. Psychological supernatural. And it's a directorial debut from Parker Finn.
Parker Finn. What a white name.
Yeah. Watch him not be white.
Watch him be. Yeah.
Her. No, I'm just kidding.
So Parker Finn could be a female name.
Could be. It seems very neutral.
Yes. Good. Right in the middle.
Yeah, and we have the film starring Miss Sosie Bacon, which just so happens to be Kevin Bacon and Kira Sedgwick's daughter.
I was wondering.
Yeah, because like not many people
about the Bacon half. Not obviously I didn't.
The Sedgwick, yeah, but also too, yeah. I mean, because like there's not too many Bacons. I feel like out there.
No, there really
could be
isn't.
though. I don't know.
There could be.
It's a whole Bacon clan.
Bacon clan.
And she's playing Dr. Rose Cotter, who is it's almost like you're saying like Carter, but like you're on Jersey.
Cotter.
Like Dr. Rose Cotter. Dr. Cotter. Or is that a Southern accent? What am I?
Yeah, that would be more Southern.
Right? Dr. Cotter.
Dr. Cotter.
And
ricotta
cheese. Stop, because I'm hungry already.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
And get this man some lasagna.
She's playing a therapist in a psychiatric facility, emergency facility.
Emergency.
Mm-hmm. They made emphasis on that.
No regular patients. It's all people who are in dire need.
With some sort of psychiatric need. So not like people come in and with knife or, gunshot wounds or anything. It's all in their head. And so,
I mean, they could come in.
Well, that's true.
Possibly.
That you're very right about that. And some few familiar faces in the movie. Kumar from Harold and Kumar.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, hey, haven't seen you in forever.
I know. Whenever I saw him, I was like, this is kind of hard for me to take this seriously.
Like in a serious role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, ugh. And then also, what's his face?
Joel?
Didn't he play in Scream
Which
5?
Which one? Who?
Wasn't he the dickbag?
Who are we talking about?
Joel.
Joel, the dickbag in Scream 5?
Or what else was he in?
What do you mean in Scream 5? Was he the Scream? No. I don't think he was the dickbag in Scream 5. The dude who got his neck with the car, I don't think that was him.
Oh, he was
He
definitely in
been
something else.
I mean, he's been in Jennifer's Body.
Oh.
His Jennifer's Body. He was in a lot of things back in the day. He remember he used to like always, he looked a lot like very emo and would wear heavy, like they always put him in like heavy guy liner.
Weird choice for him. I can't really see that being his look.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Do you remember where what character I'm talking about from Jennifer's Body that he played? Yeah. She eats him in that house.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been in a few other things too. But I also had not seen him.
No, it is him.
Was it him?
Yeah, he plays Vince.
Okay, got it.
Vince Schneider.
Yeah. There's a few other people too, like Jesse T. Usher. I've seen him in a few things. Kal Penn. Okay, that's Kumar's name. But yeah, some familiar faces. And do you want to dive in or? Yeah, let's go for it.
This movie starts with a bang.
It really does because and there was a lot of interesting shots as well in the way they like transitioned. A lot of upside down shots too, like 3, I think, or 4 I counted. But yeah, we are just opening on some woman laying in a bed. She's clearly dead. Looks like she's definitely OD'd or something.
Yeah. Once you see all the pills splayed out.
Setting it up. And
the room is a mess.
Yeah.
Room is trash.
And the camera's panning around to the right as we're watching everything, family photos, setting the stage for like the pills and stuff on the, what is it, like a boudoir, a dresser, thing. And in Spanish, we'd call it a chifonía. It sounds so
chifonía.
It's such an ugly word to me.
Why?
I don't know. Sorry,
Chifonía.
No hate. Spanish is beautiful, but chifonía just sounds like just funky to me. I don't know. But chifonía, yeah. For like where you put your clothes. I don't know. It always just didn't. It sounded like far off from me for like something.
Chiffon.
Yeah, maybe that's where it came from. And so, anyways, it does get all the way to an open door frame, and we have a young girl that's watching, unfortunately, this body.
Yep. And we can assume that that's probably going to be our main character.
Yeah.
And it was Miss Rose.
Because she wakes up from a dream. It was kind of like a nightmare memory, that she has. And she immediately, we get a phone call, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're like, they need her to go somewhere, I believe. And so she ends up in a room with Mr. Carl, I think is his name.
Yeah,
right?
Carl is his name.
And I mean, he's just rambling and going off about like, someone's going to die. I'm going to die. My mom's going to die. Everyone's going to die kind
Nothing
of situation
matters.
thing. Which, I mean,
stuff.
Yikes. That's kind of like.
Yeah. Man was spiraling.
Existential crisis there.
Yes.
I mean, because if you do really think about it, does anything matter?
No.
We're all going to die.
It's true. He wasn't
crazy.
Wrong about anything.
It's just in the way that like it's consuming him and he's like in this state of like heightened shock. It seemed like. Yeah.
He was just rambling on and on about it and wasn't coherent or wasn't able to be spoken to really until Dr. Cotter sits down with him and Rose is able to get through to him just a little bit.
Yeah.
For like 2 seconds.
It really sets up for like kind of the character in itself. Like you get to know a lot about this character in like literally 30 seconds just by like the way she approaches, and you can tell, oh, okay, this person knows what they're doing. This person is empathetic. This person makes people who are unhinged feel calm, so you can already tell like, okay, that bitch, she's good at her job.
Yeah.
And she, gets him to talk to her, and then but then he reverts right back to, after their little thing to
she
go
gets
back to what he's saying.
2 sentences out of him max, and then all of a sudden he's just back in it.
Yeah.
And so then she decides that he needs to be put on observation, which is probably a good call, considering he's not in a super great mental state at the moment. And
I think it's also we should note that like she even makes it a point to say like he isn't a harm to others, just we're making sure he's not a harm to himself.
Yeah.
Because then that kind of like circles around later back, when then she's in like accusing him of like being aggressive.
Yeah. Exactly. The hospital was pink, so that was really cute.
Yeah, I thought that was a choice.
I liked it.
Yeah. It was like a salmon-y pink.
Yeah. It was kind of baby. Bubble gum. Yeah.
And we are getting, the other doctor, her boss is called for her. And so she starts to talk to, who is played by Kal Penn, did you get his name?
Delirious or something like that.
That
sounds like delirious.
It does. I kept referring to him as like Kumar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't think I made much note of him.
And
even though he's definitely in the movie, I didn't.
Well, he kind of just pops in here and there. I don't feel like
he's not a big role.
And so anyways, he's basically, like what any boss and company is talking to their employees about always in movies. It's just like, the money.
Jackson on here.
Oh, okay. Money and like,
Dr. D.
We have to, Dr. D, we have to do better at, making sure they're not,
that they're
their
insured.
Insurance, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that way,
because they brought up a patient and stuff, and so.
And she clearly cares about her job, and she's talking about like, I don't care if she doesn't have insurance, she needs medical attention, kind of thing. Like we should help her. And then he goes on the whole spiel about, well, yes, but we get that side of her that she really wants to be doing this for the people and not just for a paycheck.
Exactly.
In that moment,
I think it speaks a lot about her character, and she ends up leaving her office, but then we get a really close-in shot of a phone just ringing off the hook, and she heard it as she was walking down away from the office and runs back in. And so she is called in to see this woman who is being brought in because she what was the reason? She hadn't witnessed it, right? Just yet. It was just after the fact.
Yeah. It was 4 days.
So there we go. Yeah.
Since she had witnessed the death of her, or one of the professors. I don't know if it was her professor, but a professor, because she was a PhD candidate named Laura. Yeah.
And she saw her professor bludgeon himself to death with a hammer in the face. And
which... I guess we can talk about that when we get to that point. I just thought it was going to look a lot worse than it did.
I mean, it was kind of cleaned up, probably. But yeah, I don't know.
I thought there would have been more.
I just don't know how far you can get
with that.
Yeah, before you're not able to like function. You know what I mean? But also supernatural. So, because it's not really them. It's like the thing in them.
Inside of them. Yeah.
And so there, Miss Sarah goes in there, Dr. Sarah goes in there to start, well, I also love the way that like we open into the room. She's like, and you don't see her. And then it's like, of course, she's behind the door kind of situation.
Yeah.
I mean, not like directly, but in the frame anyways. And, and I mean, this girl looks freaked out. She looks panicked. She looks worried, in a state of like.
She looks like a scared animal inside in a corner.
Yeah.
It's
true.
Fucked up.
And obviously Dr. Cotter is like, just come sit down, talk to me. Let's try to figure out what's going on. And so Laura is basically trying to explain to her that ever since she saw what happened with her professor, she's been hearing voices and seeing things and seeing this entity that presents itself as people that she knows or strangers or people that meant a lot to her, like her grandfather who died when she was 7 in front of her. And so it kind of specifically targets, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but like traumatic events for people. And then like we'll recall that up for them. And
I mean, I clued into it at that moment.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was like, okay, well, Rose is obviously who this is going to happen to. And
that moment with the mom.
Had the past trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I figured it had to have been, I wasn't sure of it just being trauma only just yet, but at least with it being someone died in front of another person or they found a body.
Yeah.
And not necessarily the suicide victim in each case, but that there had to be someone else that was in their life at some point that had passed away or something that they found.
In a graphic and some type of horrible way.
Yeah.
Because it makes
not
total...
just dying peacefully.
Because it makes also...
Even though that would still be not great.
It makes total sense with like how when she's like, why me? And he's like, because your mind was so inviting. Because it was like basically like there was already the seed planted there, essentially.
Yeah, you had so much trauma for me to eat on. Yeah, but Laura's basically saying she's seeing things that look like people, but it's not a person. And Dr. Rose asks, like, well, what does it do when you see it? And she says, it's smiling at me, but not a good smile, like a horrible smile that fills her with dread, that just, makes her feel like something's very wrong.
And something horrible is going to happen to me.
Yeah.
And it makes bad things happen around her. She specifically says that as well. And she is kind of like talking and avoiding eye contact at this point. She looks at Dr. Carter at one point and everything's normal. But as she's looking down away and kind of talking to her again, she looks back up at Dr. Carter and just freaks out and flips over and like goes backward, goes over the chair, breaks a vase on the table and everything.
Which I expected it to be Dr. Cotter in that moment who was smiling at her just because she was like sitting there saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, like 3 times or something she had said it. And I was like, oh no, it's going to be her. And then it wasn't.
No, yeah.
It wasn't. But the thing was still there.
Yeah.
So
in her mind, in Laura's mind.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's freaking out. She's like, and then it's doing this thing too as well, where she almost looks like she's having like a seizure moment, and she's like opening her jaw really wide, and you just see her like tensing up and on the floor. And as Dr. Cotter, I keep wanting to say Carter, Dr. Cotter goes to, get to the emergency phone and ring in like, hey, I need help, I need backup. And we're not panned in on the girl on the floor anymore. It kind of gets all quiet, and she turns around and Laura is no longer on the floor, and she's just standing up, smiling, very menacingly.
Got a very creepy smile on her face.
And it's like that.
See why they chose her for the cover.
Yeah, very much so. It gives Scream, because it's like with Drew Barrymore, how like she's on the main cover of the first one, but she's like dead in the 10 minutes in. But yeah, she is basically smiling at her, and I love how it pans from Dr. Carter looking at the vase on the floor all smashed, and then like back to Laura's hand, and she has a piece of the vase in her hand, and she just starts cutting her cheek up like
slowly,
a smile,
and very calmly,
like very like the Joker, and starts slitting her neck.
These scars.
Yeah. And started slitting her neck.
It's not funny that she slit her neck. I'm sorry.
It's not. Slay. But she ends up, like basically suiciding herself. Oop, that's word, my bad. Unaliving herself. And falls to the floor. The blood is very fake, but, I'll let it pass.
I didn't really notice that. I liked the shot of her being smiling in the blood and stuff. I thought that was cool. Yeah.
No, yeah, that was cool. But like, I could just tell, especially at a lot of moments, like even later on with Carl and between her and immediately you can tell it was like CGI'd in kind of situation. But I mean, it's still good. But yeah, she dies. She's on the floor. Miss Dr. Sarah is like in a state of shock, awe, stunned.
In tears.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And I think a part of the like what happens too is like, it's that, she can't look away. Like it's almost like a bad accident, like
train wreck.
You just have to look. Yeah. And it's because like, to me, it's like, why didn't she run up sooner and like try to like, but it's almost like she's
There's
just like
probably protocol there too. She could get hurt.
Yeah.
So.
I guess, but I feel like it just, or like later on when Joel's just watching her set herself on fire.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah, there's like fight or flight.
But But
They
I think
just
that's
froze.
I think that's how it locks them in. Like, I think it's supernatural is what I'm trying to say, it in itself. But, yes, she's dead. And Dr. Sarah, I love the shot. It transitions. It goes to her eye. And then we get like a title card and she's like,
Rose.
smile. What?
You said Sarah
Sarah, my bad.
twice.
Why did I say Rose? Why did I say Sarah?
I don't know.
Who's Sarah?
I don't know. Is her name Sarah
No.
Bacon?
Mm-mm.
No.
It's Sosie.
Sosie.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty close.
Just Sarah. I guess. I don't know.
They start with an S.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe I was mixing Laura and I don't know. I don't know
Who
what I was
knows?
saying. But we get a title card.
Her name's
and
Rose. Yeah, the smile was a little. Okay, first off, I have a small issue with the soundtrack in this film.
Oh, really?
Yeah. First off, it reminded me of Sinister.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah,
with
yeah.
That small like
Mhm.
track playing that one song that remember is like 7 minutes long or whatever that they pulled just all different parts of it. It almost felt like the same song for starters.
I didn't notice it.
But then also it was just too much. Like I liked how small of a role it played in Sinister. Like whenever it did play, it's probably not the same song, but it's very similar. And I liked how small of a role it played in Sinister. And this one, it just was like, the soundtrack was just very almost distracting for me.
Oh, okay. I see.
There were a few moments where like, I was like, these are cool sounds. All the sounds that are happening are neat and I like them and they're unsettling and they, really set the mood, but it's also happening like too much.
I feel you.
To the point where I was like, okay.
It takes you out of the moment.
Yeah. Because then it would be like happening while she's like walking or something. And I was like, this isn't a scary part.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not really driving the narrative of the story at all. It's just there.
Excessive.
Yeah. And so that was my issue with it. But on the smile itself, it was very like electro, like pop.
It gave like Black Mirror.
Yeah. I haven't watched enough Black Mirror to actually. I've only seen like 4 episodes.
Yeah.
But it was just very like, bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
Except for not an air horn.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because it was it was like contrasted very differently from what everything else is going on.
Yeah.
Like in the movie.
It didn't, the title card itself didn't bother me. It just was a little like, I don't want to say comical because it wasn't really, but it was just kind of like, okay, what was that for?
Yeah, I can see because it was very different.
Yeah.
Because we were going in like this eerie, creepy
going
mode.
into the eye and it
all
felt
that,
very like introspective and we were going into the mind or the soul or something of, and then it was just like,
smile. I can see
Cheese.
that. Confetti pops off. Yeah.
Well, it was like the
Cannons.
end with the lollipop song. And I was like, you can't just, I feel like a lot of movies are doing that now after like Insidious and Tiptoe Through the Tulips or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like they're just picking like random popular songs that aren't necessarily creepy.
Older songs.
Yeah. And then adding it with it. But at least,
yeah,
y'all know I'm not a fan of Insidious, really. And at least they played it well in there.
And there's a new Insidious coming out too.
That's right. I think I heard about that.
It has the same, it's the same people, and like it's 10 years after the situation happened with the kid Dalton. So he's like grown up now in college.
Okay.
But anyways, I digress.
I do want to cover those movies eventually because maybe I'll like him more. Maybe I just saw them too young and decided, I hate this.
Yeah.
I was a little brat. Who knows?
I mean, it all kind of is relatively in the same landscape of like James Wan's other movies. So it's not too far off. But
anyways,
we're getting past the title card.
We're being interviewed by cops now, or detectives.
We are.
Did you know you could be putting oil and chemicals in your coffee? I love coffee creamer, but I don't think I've ever turned the bottle around to actually see what's inside. When I did, I found out many of my favorite creamers contain ingredients I would never intentionally add to my coffee cup, like canola oil, dipotassium phosphate, and artificial flavors.
Laird Superfood all started when big wave surfer Laird Hamilton needed morning fuel that could allow him to spend the entire day chasing the ultimate wave. He couldn't find anything in the market that met his ingredient standards, so made himself the ultimate plant-based creamer. Laird Superfood started and launched its first product, Original Superfood Creamer, in 2015. Laird Superfoods contain no artificial flavors, colors, or additives, and no sugars from highly refined corn syrup. All Laird products are sustainably sourced and thoroughly tested to ensure that you're incorporating the cleanest, finest fuel into your routine. All Laird products are also made of all-natural whole food ingredients, and they are crafted from the highest quality all-natural real food ingredients. Are you ready to feel more energized, focused, and supported? Go to lairdsuperfood.com and add nourishing plant-based foods to fuel you from sunrise to sunset. Use our promo code BOO at checkout to save 15% off your purchase today.
I love smoothies, but I don't love smoothie bar prices. With my BlendJet 2 portable blender, I can make smoothie bar quality beverages for a fraction of the price. BlendJet 2 is portable, so you can blend up a smoothie at work, a protein shake at the gym, or even a margarita on the beach. It's small enough to fit in a cup holder, but powerful enough to blast through tough ingredients like ice and frozen fruit with ease. BlendJet 2 is whisper quiet, so you can make your morning smoothie without waking the whole house. Lasts for 15 plus blends and recharges quickly via USB-C. Best of all, BlendJet 2 cleans itself. Just blend water with a drop of soap and you're good to go. There are also over 30 plus colors to choose from. I myself chose black because it matches the color of my soul. What are you waiting for? Go to blendjet.com and grab yours today. And be sure to use the promo code BOO12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. No other portable blender on the market comes close to this quality, power, and innovation of the BlendJet 2. They guarantee you'll love it or your money back. Blend anytime, anywhere with the BlendJet 2 portable blender. Go to blendjet.com and use the code BOO12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping. Shop today and get the best deal ever.
We're getting interviewed by some detectives, and we can kind of tell that she knows one of them a bit because he like waves through the window as she's waiting
Awkwardly.
Yeah, he's kind of like a hey. And then this other detective's hella insensitive.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about him.
I think that was the character though.
Yeah. He was just like, so they're wackos. They're nut jobs. Yeah. Or what do you call them? A head case.
Yeah, a head case, something like that.
And it was like, she was like, I'm sorry, a what? She got offended.
Well, and then at the end too, he was just like, "Yep, sounds like a real psycho or something."
Yeah.
But he definitely was a bit brass. We learned that this is where I was like, "Oh, okay," because I was thinking like, too, what do we call this kind of place? She's like, "This is an emergency psychiatric unit."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, "Oh, the cops are dicks." That's what I have in my notes. But essentially, what Joel is, what they're trying to do is, it's kind of a horrific situation. So they're trying to gather any kind of information they can to like relay to the family of like trying to explain how this happened or why this happened.
Especially considering it happened under medical supervision, which I'm sure has got to raise some flags.
Yeah. Cause like she should have not been able to do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, also too, like, who knew the vase was going to break? Like, but also too, maybe they should only have rubber vases in the rooms. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing glass. But then
this reminds me of another movie. I don't know if it was necessarily a horror film, but it happened with a therapist, and one of their patients like slit their throat in front of them, and
that's wild.
Then they were having like house calls, and then people kept like kind of coming. There's definitely another movie out here that's not with the smile thing.
Yeah,
but it's got a pretty similar premise at the beginning.
Like the trauma of someone else killing themselves in front of you.
Yeah, patient and going, and then they like slit their throat as well. So I don't know. I don't remember what movie that is. If y'all know, let us know. Reach out to us because there's definitely something else.
And so she, as they're talking to them, we also hear that what is they're asking her, like, did she say anything, before she died or killed herself? And she just said like, no, she just said she was seeing these things. And she said that it smiled at her basically. Yeah. And they're like, what? Okay. And that's when I think he's like, oh yeah, she sounds real crazy. Yeah.
Well, and they said, what, like, can you tell us anything about her last moments? And she said, she smiled at me. She was smiling.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And that's when he was like, yeah, she sounds real Cuckoo.
And then it transitions to just basically that shot of the body with the tarp, or what are they called, blanket over it, and then there's like blood on it. It looks like a smile.
Yeah, a little shroud.
And we get our first upside down shot, which we get a lot of those. Or no, I guess second if you count the mom's turning upside down shot kind of thing. Because she's driving home, and we meet Mr. Mustache.
Yeah, mustache.
Meow. She's getting a drink because she needs one
kitty.
after the day she's had.
Yeah, she's got blood on her too.
Like that's also like I felt like they also treated it very like homegirl just watched someone slit their throat in front of her. Maybe y'all should have kept her there overnight.
Yeah,
because
maybe
like
monitored her.
That's super traumatic.
Yeah,
like yeah.
Maybe keep some eyes on her. Let her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Like that would be the best place to do it. Like
yeah.
But anyways, yeah, she's home. She's getting some wine. And this is kind of where we get our first moment of her starting to see things, which is very immediately after, the incident just happened earlier in the day. Mm-hmm. And we get like this really dimly lit Laura smiling menacingly at her.
In the corner, just like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very creeps. And she is totally startled, of course. And is it then that her boyfriend...
Yeah, fiance
Trevor turns on the lights, but did she drop the thing before or after?
As
all of it's going on, right? Yeah, she drops the glass on the floor and it
she
shatters.
She was staring at the person.
That's right.
At
yeah.
Laura, or what?
The figure
looks like Laura. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then he comes in, turns on the lights, or says, "Hey," and she like jumps.
Just startled.
Mm-hmm. Drops her wine glass.
Yeah,
which thankfully. She had emptied it already because she damn chugged that wine.
She did.
She didn't. There wasn't no sipping. She was like,
but she also pours baby pores.
It's true. They
all
were
those
very
pores
tiny
were like,
pores.
I was like, girl, why are you pouring? You're going to have to go get the bottle in like another 2 minutes.
Yeah. She has better self-control, I guess.
Yeah, she does. Because my wine glasses are like half the bottle.
Yeah. No, mine's like filled to the top. I fill it up,
literally. But we are, then he's like, of course, like, are you okay? What's going on? And she's like, telling him like, sorry, I've kind of just been in the state of, whatever, because a patient of mine died today. But it's so, like, she never even mentions like she killed herself right in front of me. Like she slit her throat, like the nature of it. She's just like, my patient died.
Not that it was her horrific
incident. Like a traumatizing event.
Yeah.
Like something.
She did say it was horrible, but never went into full detail.
Elaborated.
I don't know.
Which maybe is supposed to show like their relationship. Like they just don't
really delve too deep.
Communicate.
Into
yeah.
Yeah.
Which does kind of play out.
Does seem, that they are very surface level.
Mm-hmm.
Which she then does explain later with, fake Joel.
Mm-hmm.
About
the walls and all that. I mean, I can see all of that for sure. And he's like, maybe we should cancel our dinner with Holly. And she's like, no, we got to go. She got a sitter, all this stuff, whatever. So we fast forward and we are now at a dinner with 2 other people. This couple that kind of seem like just the worst kind of people you'd never want to have dinner with.
Yeah. No, Holly's a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And her husband is also a little bitch.
Mm-hmm.
He was
like her little lapdog.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was very awful to him.
Yeah.
Too. Because she'd be like, shut up, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
It wasn't to that extent, but that's what it gave.
Uh-huh.
And.
Or even like later on when she's trying to, the party thing, she's like, I always have to fucking like.
I have to go corral my idiotic husband.
It's something like that.
Something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, honestly, kudos to the actress because she played that character really well.
She did.
Because I was like, damn,
I fucking hated her.
This is a real person.
The moment I could hear the words, you want to talk about being tired? And I was like, girl, no, she's an emergency, an ER, like nurse, psychiatric doctor, ER doctor, basically.
And she's a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not going to talk about being tired.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Which I mean, that is a real job.
Stay-at-home mom is
a job.
Yes. 1000%. And I'm sure with all those other things and having to go to meetings and stuff, it is exhausting, but you can't like sit there and
compare and contrast and try to be like, no,
you want to talk about being tired.
Mm-hmm.
It was her tone.
Yeah.
It was her tone.
Let's just, Caitlin hates this bitch. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was just very rude.
Yeah, Holly's not a nice girl.
No.
Holly's, we all know a few Hollys in our life. I know, I'm sure we've all come across, met, could be related to one, but she's just
that very like that type A, very posh, kind of thinks a lot about themselves.
She had cute outfits, I will say that.
Yeah, she did. Very much cares about what other people think. You know, that kind of person. The kind of like a Regina George. She was basically a Regina George. Yeah, of the suburbs. But they're, you know, talking, and you can tell immediately it's kind of what's the word? They're
tensions are high.
Tensions are high. You can already tell there's like friction between these people.
Yeah.
And she's asking Sarah not Laura, Rose. Oh God, why do I keep wanting to call her Sarah?
I don't know.
Dr. Rose. She's asking her sister if she's going to come to her nephew's birthday party, which also Dr. Cotter is already like kind of like spaced out. Like, wait, what? What are we talking about?
I would have spaced out too.
Yeah, and they're like, "Are you kidding me?" You know, kind of basically situation.
The husband was like, wow.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
And so she is explaining to us that she cannot make it. She has to work. And also like the way her sister was like, wait, you have to work? Like they must not be close enough to not know that she's working every Saturday already. You know what I mean? And so she's like, no, but the sister's like, if you want to get him a present, right? Is that right now? No, that's not even right now.
Later.
That's later when she calls her. But yeah, that's basically the extent of the conversation. As also they're telling each other to shut the fuck up and like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's very heated dinner conversation.
I know. Then right as she said, why don't you just shut the fuck up?
And the waiter pops up.
Comes. And I was like, oh God, those poor waiters.
And I love how she was just like, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's kind of real life, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. But I feel like I've never been in that situation, thankfully. But
not in that heated of conversations, but have been in a somewhat heated conversation where I'm sure the waiter definitely probably overheard something.
I was like, ooh, yikes.
Yeah. And then had to be like, oh, thank you so much.
As a waiter, you do hear a lot of conversations going on.
Yeah.
You do. Ooh, yeah. Anyways, we are back at work, and she is asking for files for the girl who killed herself, right?
Yeah. And she's also making coffee, and her coffee cup is a smiley face.
Oh, that's right.
Cup, which I just thought was a nice little add-in.
A little Easter egg
Adding
thing.
smileys everywhere.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
Yeah, they do.
Which, I mean, it's not hard because if you think about it, smiles are kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it's not something that's out of the norm because people
smiley face on my shirt right now.
Did you wear that on purpose?
No.
That is hilarious. And I've been looking at it this whole time too. That's funny. I didn't even connect the dots until just now.
Me neither.
Wow. It's happening.
This shirt's
It's happening.
I grabbed it before my shower and then
it's time, Caitlin.
It's almost time.
It's time to die. I'm not Joshua. I am the monster. And so she asked for these files. Of course, she wants to kind of get more information.
You started running at me,
dude. I know. Honestly, this is like, it was really freaky. Like that was the creature in the end. It's not a body entity thing. I don't know what it was. Things that like
that are too big.
That's scary,
too
man.
Small.
Oh, with like big hands and like, oh, that's scary.
It reminded me of a barbarian, but also in It Chapter 2. Do you remember?
Yeah.
The old lady who like.
And she starts getting big and she's naked.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's scary. Things that shouldn't naturally, because it just looks even like unnatural, weird.
Yeah.
Like,
the proportions are all
I think that's what it is. It's like, oh, that's terrifying. But she is looking for this shit.
The size of Ant-Man. Oh. Terrifying. No, I'm just kidding.
As I love that movie.
I do too.
But I think it's Paul Rudd. Yeah. Paul Rudd makes it. But Joel ends up coming to check up on her, and she's giving him a cold shoulder.
Some obvious history between the two of them.
Very much so. And he's just basically like, I'm in the neighborhood. I want to make sure you're okay. And she's just like, I'm good. I don't need you to check on me. And cool. Thanks. Bye. Like very cold shoulder. Like,
yeah. And then I love how the nurse behind is like, she's engaged, right? And then she's like, but I'm single. And I was like, get you some.
Go for it, baby.
Get you some, lady.
And so then after that little awkward situation, it shows her reading the report on what
happened between
Laura.
Dr. Munez and Laura.
There we go. Yeah. And is basically, she was at a library. He came up to her, was smiling at her. Very much kind of similar situation to what, oh God, not Sarah, Rose. Oh my God, for the life of me, I don't know why. Rose and Laura's situation. And how it parallels. It's kind of, clicking that like, wait, there's a lot of similarities here. And she learns something else through that.
Well, I know that at this point she gets a phone call from Holly.
That's right.
And she is basically, she's on the phone with Holly. Holly's describing or, apologizing for last night. And then she's looking out the window and she sees someone standing down in like the courtyard, just like staring up at her window.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was Laura or just some random chick, but
yeah, I think it was just maybe someone random. I don't know.
Someone's smiling at her from down there.
And this is where Holly says, if you're thinking of, if you're not going to come, you should at least get your nephew a gift. And he really likes electronic trains right now.
Bitch. But yeah, so they have a funny relationship. But anyways, at this point, she's walking down the corridor, the hallway, whatever it is, and she's, going past patients' rooms, and we walk upon Carl's room, and he is just like smiling and
sitting straight up.
And so she stops and she's like, oh,
It's always unnatural.
Let me go check in this room. And she's just kind of trying to talk to him, and he's looking at her, smiling. And earlier he was, saying like some people are going to die, mom's going to die, this going to die. Like he never said a phrase that he says next, which is like, you're going to die, but like screaming it at her and smiling at her. And so she's like freaking out, and he kind of gets up and starts like coming towards her aggressively. And so she's like, I need help. This guy's, going aggressive. We need a code 5051 or something like that.
Yeah.
And whenever she kind of walks out of the room and the people run in to help her, he's basically still in the bed as if he had never even got out of the bed, and he's like freaking out. Yeah.
Sleeping.
Yeah.
Almost.
Poor guy.
He was like in the fetal position, just kind of like laying down.
And then all of a sudden all these guys' hands are on him. They're like, calm down.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But really he was like screaming no.
And you can tell even she was kind of like, wait, like you can tell she's like thrown off a little bit as well, to like, wait, because I could have sworn he was just like, he was there, but now he's there. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To where she's now starting to like get this feeling of like mistrusting what is and what is real and what is not. Yeah, exactly. Because immediately she's like getting chastised, right? In the office with her boss.
Yep. Yeah. She's in there with Dr. D, and he's basically saying like, is there any, like, do you think this happened because of the incident with Laura, like, and your former patient? Do you think you maybe overreacted and called this out? Like, he's had no history of being violent.
Yeah.
So like, why do you think
he would have just gotten violent out of nowhere? Like, it's probably more you, not him. And also
and
because
she was like, okay, yeah, I guess I could have overreacted. But this is where Dr. D tells her, you're going to get a paid week off. And basically says, which is very true, we can't help other people if we're not in
we don't have our mental check
state, like mental health in check as well. Yeah,
which makes sense, like you said. And she's very much like, she obviously doesn't not want to work because she's really like, you can tell
she's
it's
like that's not necessary.
Yeah. And you can tell, I mean, it's like a very like overcommitment to work, you know what I mean? Like, she probably did need this week off for the longest time, but now it just so happens that like some supernatural entity is fucking with her.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she ends up leaving work, and you can tell it's like kind of frazzled her as she's leaving. She's walking out.
And this is one of the instances where the soundtrack was like really aggressive and super electronic, and I was just like,
yeah, it didn't work for you.
Yeah.
And she,
I don't have an issue with it being electronic sounding.
It's just like,
but just how it was in the placement.
And so she's driving, she's going home, but before she gets there, she does see a little toy shop, and she stops to buy a toy train for her nephew.
Yep. And this is where we get another one of the little smiley shots of this family playing toy train or something.
Very late 50s, type of style, little cartoon family. And we're back home. She's drinking more wine because that's what we do when we are stressed. And she is wrapping the present up, listening to some music, I believe. But at the same time, also, this is another moment where I was like, girl, what's up with this pour of wine? Because she's like pours like a shot of wine. It's just like that much.
Yeah, such a tiny little baby.
And she's like gonna gulp it, but as she's doing this, the alarm goes off. Once again, she breaks another glass.
Yeah.
Poor girl. She ain't gonna have no more wine glasses.
Nope.
And at this point, you know, it's one of those security home alarm systems. So she's like, you know, she gets some scissors. She's like checking around the corner, checking the door. She's like, what's going on? And then we turn around and right behind where she was sitting, we know it was closed because we got a good pan of it. But now the sliding glass door is slid open, just ajar, just a little bit. She feels
she can hear the wind going through it and stuff like that.
And obviously she's like, well, that's weird. And the phone goes off.
Because that was right where she was. Like she was literally like 2 feet behind her maybe.
So like who would have come in? Yeah.
She would have known if something happened. Yeah. But then the phone goes off. And it ends up being
the security alarm people.
Yeah. And you know, they ask for a name and a passcode, which is like, I understand that, but also in that instance, it's got to be so unnerving to like have to think about.
Remember your passcode?
Yeah, all that.
Because stuff flows out of your mind when you're like close to shock.
Yeah, exactly.
Acapulco.
Oh, yeah. I was like, what a
choice. Maybe it's their honeymoon spot.
Maybe.
Or no, because they hadn't even, they're just
or they're
engaged.
planning to honeymoon.
Or something. I don't know.
Maybe where they got engaged. Yeah. But anyways, she's on the phone talking with the security people, and all of a sudden they're like, are you in the house alone? And she says yes, and they say, are you sure? And she was like, excuse me, what?
It's so unhinged.
Like, yeah. And she was like, are you sure you're in the house alone, Rose, or something like that? They say her name. And you sure you didn't let something in? And then she like freaks out, obviously, as I would too, because it says look behind you, doesn't it?
That's right. It does.
Yeah, look behind you. And she goes to start looking around.
But as soon as she does that, the actual phone rings. Again. And then it turns out she never even had the phone in her hand.
Yep.
And
it was a fake phone call all along.
It's all kind of playing in her head, and she's freaking out. And then we get like some officers coming over. They did a whole scan of the house. They're like,
talk
nobody's
about
here.
Deputy Daddy.
Both of them.
Both
of them are hot to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was particularly the one on the right for me, the Asian one.
That fits your MO, Caitlin.
I know.
I'm sorry.
It does.
Just put it out there.
Deputy Daddy and Scream was also.
Yeah.
So.
And so they're basically trying to calm her down. But she's like very adamant that like, you know, like this, I didn't make it up, like, you know, or whatever. Cause they're like, it's just a false alarm. She's like, no, like someone was here, like something had to happen. But thankfully her boyfriend, is his name Trevor comes up, and he,
at least that's what I call him the whole time.
Yeah, it's Trevor.
It's Trevor.
Yeah, he ends up driving up. They're like, hey, and he's like, hello, and yeah, basically that's pretty much the bulk of what happens with that, because he doesn't even ask questions as usual for the most part, and
he just is like, what's going on? And she was like, oh, nothing.
Literally, like no talking. And they go in. She's trying to feed Mustache. She can't find him, so that's kind of like one thing where we're like, oh shit, where's Mustache at? She's looking outside, can't find him. I love how like the last scene that we really have of whatever is going on in these moments is like him in the kitchen. He's like, did you break another glass?
A lot of these scenes, it was funny. A lot of these scenes that were in the movie felt like bloopers to me, or like scenes that would be on the deleted scene cut. Reel. Yeah, on like the DVD menu.
I can see that.
Yeah, there were a few scenes that I was just like, this doesn't seem super driving
to the narrative. We now have another dead mom dream again.
Back with mom again.
Yep, mommy dearest. And she wakes up. Obviously, it was a nightmare. We have her then leaving the bedroom and going to listen to the recording that she had made, because she made a recording when she was talking to Laura earlier in the movie. And you know, just playing out the situation that had happened. And she ends up hearing like a faint whisper, in the recording. And so she tries to like isolate it and go over it and try to re-listen to it. And she's turning, which also I was like, that's not how that would work, but okay. She's just turning up the volume more and more and more.
Yeah. I'm like, you're not going to be able to, it honestly felt to me like whenever I watch ghost shows and they're like, listen to this audio that we caught. And it's like they're like, that's it, you're gonna die.
Literally.
And it's like, what? No, it didn't. Because I couldn't tell that it was whispering Rose.
I couldn't either.
Only my closed captioning told me.
Same.
Yeah, because it said whispered Rose. And I was like, I can't hear that.
I wouldn't have picked
it up
in the
slightest. So,
but honestly though, this is a moment that got me.
This moment made me jump.
This is fucking scary as fuck because she's trying to listen really close. Obviously, she turns it up really loud, and we get Laura popping up right next to her and screaming in her ear, being like, Rose,
yeah. Was it Laura or was it her mom?
Was it her mom? I thought it was Laura. It could have been her mom.
It could have been either. Yeah.
Both. Either way, it scared the fuck out of me.
No matter who it was scary.
I think it was Laura
part of
because
me was like, what if it was her?
I don't know.
Herself.
I'm sorry. That's supposed to be on silent. My bad, you guys. You got my Forever 21 notification sound. And so she ends up like freaking out, going to the kitchen, trying to grab a knife, gets a knife.
As she should.
And is like in hysterics, and her boyfriend runs down and he's like, oh my God, what's going on? And he's like, oh my God, drop the knife. And then she's not dropping the knife. And then it's like a whole thing. And then like, this is like, oh my God. And it's a pretty intense scene. But she ends up then the next day going to talk to her therapist that she had seen previously for the trauma, she had gone through and all that stuff with her mom and shit. So she must have known this lady for a long time. But she is basically trying to get some help. And the doctor essentially is just like, well, you're basically having all this stress-induced shit happening to you because the lack of sleep and the incident that just happened, and because you have old wounds that have not healed about your mom's, suicide.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of turning into all of this big old, like, people are really trying to like rationalize, and she's trying to also rationalize like what's happening to her. Because at this point it's like it's either that or cuckoo, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And she goes in and the doctor has to say like, let's avoid any self-diagnosis, because she comes in saying like, these are probably these post like traumatic visions or
echoes,
hallucinations and stuff that are happening, and I need a prescription for this. Can you just write me a prescription? Because obviously they can't just prescribe themselves things. Yeah, that's illegal, I'm sure. But yeah, so she needed to go see her psychiatrist and stuff in order to get that prescription. But yeah,
she won't give it to her. And so at this point,
what are my notes? It says who would just ask for advice. Oh, this is when she gets to the party.
Exactly, because now we've switched over. It's Saturday. She surprises her sister, Holly. She ends up at the party, and she's like, oh my God, I thought you had to work. And she's like, no, I just took some time off. Or I took the afternoon off. Fucking lying. But anyways, that was the most guttural sounding like neck sound. Wow. Leave it in. It's okay. And so she ends up getting introduced to Holly's friends, as Holly's like, I gotta go help my idiot husband. And like you said, this one chick is like, oh my God, you're the therapist, right? Let me ask you some advice.
Yeah, which I was just like, oh my God, who would do that?
These really rude people.
Yeah, I was like, Holly's friends would. Yeah. Holly's friends would.
Also, these are the people that could afford to fucking pay for a therapy session twice a week, probably. Yeah, but nah,
don't.
Yeah. And so
it was ridiculous. I was like, okay.
Transition to everybody singing happy birthday to the birthday boy. And we are now transitioning over to gift time.
Yay.
And
but not yay.
I loved the wrapping paper on her present. I thought it was super cute.
It reminded me of Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh.
And the black ducky.
Oh, yeah.
Yellow ducky with the...
I just thought it was so cute. And even the bow, too. It's like a little squiggly thing. But he ends up opening the present, and we are getting in there. We are we think it's supposed to be a train. She's kind of looking at him like all happy, and he's opening this thing up, and he's doing it in a way where you're like, something's wrong.
Off.
Yeah.
Here.
And
that was when my brain went, oh no, not mustache.
Well, and
God.
also too, it's the way that like it wasn't even like a like and then like throw the box. It was like, no, I'll pick it up.
Yeah, he grabbed it.
Yeah, and just like picks up Mustache, and Mustache is dead. It's the way his little body was just like dangling there.
Yeah,
it's so sad. And everybody's of course like freaking the fuck out, and she's in hysteric mode again because that's her baby Mustache, and she's like, no, my God, no, like I wouldn't do this. Like this is not me. And there's a lot of moments in this movie, and it probably speaks to like society, because in my heart, I'm like, why is nobody like helping her? Why is nobody like trying, like rushing to her and being like, what's,
I know you would never kill your cat.
Or
like, Holly was only concerned about shielding her child's eyes.
Yeah.
And stuff. And it's like, bitch, he's already picked up the animal.
And like,
first off,
all these people are just like, I don't
think anything's going to help now.
And I think that's kind of where, I was thinking like maybe it's supernatural, but maybe it's not. Maybe just society is just horrible people, because I'm just like, why is nobody intervening at any point to like try to like
be like, it's okay.
Or like let's
go outside.
Something. I don't know. But she ends up freaking out so much that she's walking backwards. Because she sees that bitch that was asking her advice and smiling at her.
Smiles in the corner. She's like sitting on a chair, sitting there smiling. And then she's like, did none of y'all see her? And she's spinning around, and then all of a sudden she's right in front of her face. And it startles her backwards into the table. And it's glass, of course, because why wouldn't it be?
This scene was honestly kind of like, yikes. Like I was like, oh God, because
it's chaotic,
especially when she like is looking at her arms, and then like I feel like the pain is setting in of like, oh shit, like you see it, I feel it, and then she's like screaming. Oh man.
And no one's helping her.
Nobody's helping her.
They're just like
pretty brutal.
She's insane.
She's cut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's gotta hurt, because even when you get like a little piece of glass in you, that shit hurts.
Yeah.
And all that shit in her arm, that's yeah. And she's at the ER. Needless to say, because she's fucked up. And at this point now, like, Holly's out there, her boss shows up, her boyfriend shows up, so it's all kind of like things are spiraling. And she's also like
Holly like trying to talk to Trevor about it, and the way that you can even tell with her body language there, the way that she's talking to Trevor was
she's like painting her in the worst image.
And like saying the most horrible things about her. And I'm like, I don't know, like I don't know what level of like relationship you'd have to have with your sibling to like not help them in that moment, and like not think like, oh my God, who did this to you?
And like,
because I know you wouldn't do this kind of thing. And so, I mean, I don't know.
Very much all of that.
It just baffled me how she reacted in that situation. But I guess people can have really bad, but it's not like she'd done anything previously. Like if she had done stuff previously, I would have been like, I get it.
Maybe this was like her character was like some drug addict or some this or some like, has previous aggressive stuff or weird stuff. But she was like a sane like doctor, clinical, whatever.
Just worked too much. Not out here murdering her own cat. Yeah.
But needless to say, she is on her way home now with her boyfriend, Trevor, and they are in the car. It's a little awkward, you can tell, as they finally get home. And this is now the point where they decide to start talking. And she's like basically saying like, I need you to stay in the car, and I needed you to listen to me and to not think I'm crazy. And essentially she starts to explain to him, like I've been seeing things, and ever since, what happened with my patient and all this, there's some like entity that has latched itself onto me. And he is very much like he's not supportive at all.
No.
He goes straight to like, what the fuck am I supposed to say to that? This and that.
And it's like, at least just lie and say, I believe you.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's a better start.
But, yeah. And then it's the way that he even like they're arguing about it. She's like, her character, the way she's like, don't go. I'm sorry.
Yeah. She was really struggling between trying to
keep it together and
translate and convey is the word I'm looking for, convey her emotions properly and how strong they are and how terrified she is, with also trying to communicate in a level that you would expect of a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Or a
just
therapist.
your partner kind of essentially like not, these crazy things are these like, I don't want to say crazy, like these unexplainable things are happening to her. So she's just then now having like such a hard time to explain like what she can't even explain to herself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And she's just
Like-
grasping at straws.
Yeah.
And she needs someone to believe her, to be on her side. But of course he's not. And then I lost all respect for him in the moment.
When he's like, did you kill Mustache?
Well, yes. But also when he goes, well, I looked it up. It's hereditary. Mental illness
yeah, that's right.
And it's like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? You're bringing that up? Also, everyone knows that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And
How
also
are you
like,
not like, but don't bring her trauma into this right now. It's not, it's clearly not her trauma that's making her talk about things like this. In that moment, I was just like, damn it, Trevor, I liked you.
yeah,
And then now I was like, no, you're kind of a
Piece of
little
shit.
bitch.
And essentially he goes inside, she goes inside, you know, her arms are all bandaged up.
And
she looks fucked up.
rough.
Exactly. Like no sleep, like just out. Yeah.
Also, in this moment, right as this scene was happening where she was in the bedroom alone and she hears something whispering from within, Suki was laying on my lap and she stretched out her paw and it touched my phone and it typed the word ghoul.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. How did it type the word ghoul from her toe beans?
It
Just a
auto
swipe?
corrected to ghoul.
Oh,
like
okay.
with how whatever number she put in,
Yeah.
it just went ghoul. And I was like, ooh, that's kind of creepy,
Kitty knows.
considering that it was a ghost thing that was happening right then in that moment, because her name was being whispered from the closet saying like, come here, and stuff like that. And Suki just typed ghoul. And I was like, I don't like this.
She's aware. She's hyper aware.
Yeah,
she's a human.
Smart. If
like
anything,
you said,
Suki's my dumb one. She's the one who's like, lights on, no one home. She's just a little baby. She's a little baby. Yams is the smart one.
more calculating.
Yes.
And like you said, she's hearing these voices and she's trying to ignore it. And essentially then we have her like turning over fetal position, not facing the doorway. And we just have her mom's body just like smiling menacingly, like, you know, calling out her name, trying to fuck with her. And she stays steady, ignoring it. And before she was trying to go to sleep, we did see she was looking up information on the professor. And so it's now the next day and she's going to the professor's home to meet his wife.
Yeah.
Or
Mrs.
widow,
Munoz.
sorry.
Munoz?
It's Munoz.
Munoz.
But yeah.
I'm white.
Well, also the movie pronounced it weird as well.
It did.
And
Munoz.
so, she ends up going. She lets her in pretty easily. I think she said she was like a reporter or something.
Reporter, yeah.
Some journalist. And so she's, asking his wife or widow, questions about like, what happened, like what he was seeing. And I love how she's like, oh, I'll show you. And she takes her into his workspace area. I guess he was kind of like an artist. He liked to draw, paint. Looks like it was all forms of paint, charcoal, media,
different
drawing.
mediums.
There you go. And so it's both of us today. And so we end up getting to see that. It's funny because they were like, this bitch was just drawing demons on the regular, but the thing that was actually what he saw was like a smile and what he drew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it looked like there were way more other scary things
that were happening. Yeah.
They look like gargoyles almost, or like monsters kind of thing. But she's like, this is what he saw. This she didn't even say smile. She just said like, this is what he said was like a haunting him kind of situation. Yeah.
And then in that moment too, is this where we get his face? Or we get a flash of his face? Oh,
yes. What you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she was like, this is, it was kind of right before that, but she's like 25 years or so many years of marriage. And
this is what I'm left with.
To remember him.
Yeah. Which is.
And what were you thinking of
terrible.
The face? Yeah.
Oh, it just.
You thought it
was
should
pretty
have been worse.
fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
It was pretty fucked up.
Honestly, I thought I honestly thought, like, how would that even happen? I feel like you're right. It should have been worse because it's a bludgeon hammer. I felt like things were still too put together, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, I expected a little bit.
Mushy brain?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your worst fear?
Yes, exactly. Which, whenever I heard that he had bludgeoned himself in the face, I was like, oh, please, I don't want to see that.
We're going to see that at one
point. Then we saw it, and I was like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I had pictured.
No, give me the mushy face.
Yeah, I was expecting something more. But at this moment, she also mentions that this was where, at some point where I made the connection to that they've like all had someone in their life like pass away or something, because she said that he kept seeing his brother too, who had died 20 years prior in an accident. Now, I don't know if he saw his brother die or what.
It didn't mention it, no.
But he's got some sort of trauma.
Based on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, related to.
Did you know that dehydration is the leading cause of daytime fatigue? I was shocked to learn that even mild dehydration can cause headaches, muscle weakness, and brain fog. But luckily, there's a solution. Cure! Cure Hydration is an oral rehydration solution that contains the perfect balance of electrolytes and glucose to help your body absorb water and rehydrate quickly. The formula is made with all natural ingredients like coconut water, powder, and pink Himalayan salt, and is free from artificial flavors, sweeteners, and preservatives. Cure Hydration is vegan, gluten-free, and non-GMO, making it a great option for anyone with dietary restrictions or preferences. The packets are convenient and easy to use. Just mix with water and drink. They're perfect for on the go, travel, or anytime you need a quick and effective hydration boost. Hydration is more than just drinking water. That's what Lauren Picasso, a lifelong endurance athlete, discovered as she struggled to stay hydrated no matter how much water she drank. Lauren founded Cure, a science-backed electrolyte drink mixed to make hydrating easy for everyone. Cure believes that hydration should be simple and effective, but also clean and natural. That's why they use only the highest quality plant-based ingredients and avoid any artificial or harmful additives. They're committed to transparency and honesty. All of their ingredients are clearly listed on their website and packaging, and they're always happy to answer any questions or concerns. Ready to combat dehydration? Try Cure today and feel the difference for yourself. Use code BOO for 20% off your order.
Are you tired of the same old boring puzzles? Mix things up with Wongo puzzles. Each puzzle is a custom design with intricate patterns and whimsical shapes that will keep you engaged for hours. Plus, their eco-friendly materials and commitment to sustainability make Wongo puzzles a guilt-free way to unwind. Wongo puzzles are 100% wooden puzzles, meaning they'll last forever. Each piece is hand-drawn, so no two pieces are the same, and you'll discover some fun, whimsy pieces as you work through it. They come in a custom wooden box, which is perfect for storage and gifting. With stunning design and unique shapes, Wongo puzzles are a cut above the rest. So what are you waiting for? Go to wongopuzzles.com and pick your puzzle today. And be sure to use the promo code BOO and get 10% off of your order. This is the most fun you've had with the puzzle guaranteed or your money back. Go to Wongo, WONGO, puzzles.com and use the code BOO to get 10% off your order and get puzzling right now. Wongo.
And so this was where I put together that have to have that. And then obviously then you have watched someone die by suicide.
It's like a combo.
By unaliving themselves.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I mean, this entity or whatever is happening, it doesn't just go to some normal, like, or I don't want to say normal, but it doesn't just go to anybody. It's specifically targeting and choosing people who have had these really terrible situations or are holding on or maybe not have healed completely from something that is festering in them.
Something that's still lingering. And it gives it a nice little dark, damp hole to live in.
Exactly. It's this movie kind of falls under the elevated horror, the Babadook. Yeah, it's that too. That's exactly what I was thinking. And so Jenna Ortega's character, Tara from Scream would love this. And so she ends up, she says, Rose says something that makes his widow question, like, wait, what kind of journalist are you? Like, I forget it's if in the way she says something.
Well, she just basically tells her flat out. She is like, your husband wasn't insane.
Oh, that's right. I'm seeing the same things. That's right.
Things, yeah. And she was like, I'm sorry, what?
At this point, I think she's thinking like she's patronizing her, like making fun of her or something. Yeah.
And tells her to get the fuck out of my house. And then she was like, no, please just tell me the name of the lady, because we found out that he had seen somebody also a week prior
unalive themselves.
Yeah, died. And he witnessed it. He was a key witness, and it's all about, at this point too, I also gathered that it is around 7 days. 7 to, and then 4 days was what I believe
was his
Laura's
time frame, or her. Oh, okay,
Laura
gotcha.
after seeing him. Yeah.
So it all happens relatively fast. These people have to have trauma, and they have to have witnessed someone else kill themselves. Kind of like the trifecta of what's happening to them. And so she ends up, because she feels like, I'm not sure at this point, well, I mean, it's kind of convenient that he's a cop. So he has access, but like also like nobody else is really listening to her. So she goes to Joel to try to like have some sort of support. And she's like, I need you to do me a favor. Don't ask questions. Can you please? And so like he starts to help her to pull up the case file for the doctor and the lady that he had seen unalive herself. And so at this point, you know, he's able to read like, was a conference or something, or I don't remember.
Yeah, he was at some sort of conference that he goes to every year.
Yeah.
And because that was what Mrs. Munoz had said.
And
it was after that stupid conference he goes to every year.
Yeah. And apparently some woman, like, I guess gouged her eyes out and whatever, killed her. That's what the photo looked like. Because we see like evidence of
couldn't
like
really tell
what had happened to the lady. But she unalived herself in front of him. And that's whenever, I mean, yeah. And then Rose is like, okay, like we're going to do the same thing, but like check for the lady and see if, you know, anything pops up on her. And Joel is like, oh, this is actually kind of strange. Same thing. She witnessed someone else kill themselves just a few days prior. So we start to discover like that there's a chain. He's very confused still at this point, but she's kind of like already like, okay, that's all I need to hear. I'm leaving. Like, okay. She's freaked out, I feel like, at this point.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, what the fuck's going on? And she's like, you know, obviously not explaining anything, because how could she?
At this point, I was like, he's your best bet at someone believing you. Like,
that's true.
She should have really tried to explain it to him then, because he was seeing the direct links between all of these different things. And I was like, he would be the one who I would think would most believe you in this instance. But she doesn't tell him.
Yeah. But we digress, and she goes home, and surprise, surprise, guess who is home waiting for her? Her therapist and her fiance.
Yep.
And at this point, she's kind of like, whoa, this feels like an ambush. What's going on here? And the doctor is like, I just wanted to come check up on you. And then at this point, Rose is like, I mean, I guess kind of rightfully so. Yeah. Because, like, I mean, granted, I feel like she also can't be totally surprised because, like, girl, you've been presenting awfully crazy here lately. But also they're, like, doing a wellness check on her, essentially. And she's like, I'm not losing my mind. I am being attacked, essentially. And this is where we do get a lot of, like, dialogue between her and Trevor, where we also like she's now expressing like, you know, you never want to, like, when things are easy it's fine, but like let things get hard, like you don't want to try to fix it or talk about it or work it out, like you want everything to be perfect, essentially. And I love how the therapist is just kind of like,
we should lower our voices, we should take a breath.
Because then I think Trevor even like says something or words something where it's like, ooh, that.
He was like, well, why are we even together then, or something like that. And she's like, maybe, I don't know.
And I love how she's like, maybe, yeah.
Excuse me.
I love it. But, and I love how, what Rose is like, the therapist tries to say something and she's like, you know what? Oh, the therapist like, maybe I should leave. She was like, no, you can make yourself at fucking home, and just walks out.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely a lot going on, you know, in this moment. And she ends up leaving and going to Holly's to go try to talk to her.
All people, which I just, once I realized that she was trying to explain it to her sister, I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, same.
You think Holly's gonna believe you?
Of all people, yeah.
Of everyone in your life.
And if anything, Holly just makes it even worse because she patronizes her and is basically just being like, get the fuck over it and over whatever because she's essentially linking it to like, you are just not over what happened to mom and you need to move on.
Yeah. And saying you're sounding just like mom did right before she died. And it's because I'm the older one, like that I had to deal with mom's insanity. So I know what it's like. And because she says like, well, how would you know? You weren't even there. Yeah. And she was like, I'm sorry that you were the one that had to find her, but like I'm the older one and I dealt with it more than you did, kind of thing. And she was like, but you need to like basically leave it in the past, kind of thing.
Which I mean, it's, you know, there is a argument for Holly there as well. Like, I mean, obviously Holly went through trauma too. Yeah. But like, trauma doesn't explain or make an excuse for you to turn into a horrible, completely bitchy ass person. There's a difference there. Yeah. But anyways,
plenty of people go through things and turn out to be rather pleasant people.
Yeah. And so Holly's basically just being like, you know what? I can't talk to you right now like this. Like, she shuts her out. She's just like, go, which is also another moment where I was like, as a family member, like, or as someone who claims like they might love this person, like, what? Like, how, like I could, if my sister was talking to me all crazy cuckoo and like stuff bananas, I'd be like, what, you know, I don't know. Like, that's just,
she lacked empathy to the utmost degree.
It's just, it makes you feel so bad for Rose because, you know, like she's basically just being like, it's like the most major form of gaslighting ever. Yeah. Like, dude, like so completely gaslit and like nobody's believing her. And you're just like, damn. Rose. I was like, Rose is gonna kill herself. Like, yeah. I was like, this is where it's going. Like, because there's, and then next scene, oh my god, this next scene actually, I wonder what you thought about it.
I thought it was silly.
Yeah, it was a bit silly. We have her going to her car and like screaming and like being like fuck, and like, you know, we're watching it, and Holly comes out of the house and is walking like, you know, all mad like towards the vehicle, and we just see her head like flop down.
Yeah, she knocks on the window and her head flops down. I would have preferred it if it didn't twist her head like that. If she would have just went like tink. Yeah. Like catty corner on, hands on the window, bending over so she can look in, like face pressed to the glass, smiling. I would have liked that more.
You know what I would have liked? And I don't know how practical they could make it look. Because the thing for me, it was like, it felt too like, why did her head, like her neck just like get stretched like that, like Mr. Fantastic. Yeah, that's what it gave. Like, I would have liked for her to just walk up and then like her head to just like completely decapitate, and just like she's just holding her head upside down and just smiling at her. Like, I felt like that would have been really cool. But
or if her head got turned around backwards and it was like a broken neck,
like that. Yeah. But not our movie, so it wasn't our call. Yeah. And yeah, freaks Miss Rose out, and then we just cut to her eating a fucking burger. Yeah, because why not?
Eating a burger rather aggressively.
Sure she was probably famished. I'm sure she probably hadn't been eating
with a lot of shit.
And she finally probably was like, "Oh shit, I'm hungry." Yeah. And then this is where we get a call from Joel, and it's very important because he's like telling her like, I found up to 20 cases, 19 suicides, 1 murder, where like this is all linked. It goes back weeks and weeks and weeks. Yeah. Which is also crazy to me that like this is literally all happened within like 2 months. Because they're all happened within days of each other.
4 to 7 days.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy.
And he says 19 deaths or 19 suicides, 20 cases or something like that. And
because one was
yeah. And she was like, well, how does that add up? And he was like, well, one guy disrupted the chain, basically interrupted the pattern. And he did so by killing someone else. But then the victim, who was the key witness, ended up unaliving themselves the following week.
So the pattern just resumed.
Yep. And then, this is where she's like, well, I need to talk to him. I need to talk to this guy who survived. So they're going to visit him. And it's when they're in the car that we get the exact number of days that no one survives longer than a week. And for some, it's only 4 days. And that's when she says, this is my 4th day.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's definitely running out of time. And we end up getting to this penitentiary, big official prison, I don't know, where we go visit Mr. Tally is his name. And, you know, obviously Joel, he's got his connection, so he was able to pull some strings for them to get like 10 minutes just to talk to him. And so they go in, they try to talk to him, have some questions, but he doesn't want to tell them anything until the cop gets out of the room. So, you know, she's like, it's okay, step out. And he ends up talking to Rose. The way I want to call her Sarah so bad. I'm so sorry, you guys. He ends up talking to her, and this is where we start to get more information. And so she gets her answers because he's like, what you have to do essentially is kill someone else and have a witness. And that's how you break the chain, as opposed to killing yourself, you know?
Yeah, because trauma gives it power. So you need to have someone witness it who's seen this traumatic event.
Like, it has to be in the worst way possible of how you could kill someone, essentially.
And then and only then will it move on once you've transferred that to someone else. And so, he's basically saying you have to kill people. And the whole time she's pretending that it's for a client of hers. She was like, I have a client who witnessed this guy. And she's basically pretending that it's all for Laura, even though Laura's already passed. And then as he's explaining all this, she's just yells like, I can't kill someone. And he was like, it's for you. It's for you. Get her the fuck out of here. He starts losing it.
It reminded me very of like Legally Blonde. You know that movie, right?
Yeah.
She's like, I thought it was you walking through the door.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Gasp.
Yeah, literally. Hilarious. But yeah, and he's like, get her out. And obviously they do. And she's like kind of also like in hysterics. And it's the way that when they're outside of the whole place, Joel is like, what did he tell you? And she's like, nothing. And nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a very closed book, this one. She doesn't like to talk a lot. But also, I mean, she can't tell the cop like, oh, he told me I need to kill someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that. But at this point, she ends up she's back at home, and she's like looking over all the cases and the case files that she got from Joel. And at this point, I think she's reaching for a knife, and I don't know if she's thinking of hurting someone or hurting herself. But just then at that moment, her therapist is at the door and starts to knock, and she can't not pretend like she's there because she sees her through the window.
Through the window, yeah.
And yeah, she ends there, and the therapist is basically just like, well, you haven't been returning my call, so I needed to come check up on you and make sure that you're okay.
Make sure you're not a danger to yourself.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because she's like, I need you to convince me that you're not.
Yeah, and that's what lets her in the door, basically. Yeah, and they're sitting there talking, and all of a sudden, like as they're talking, they're discussing basically everything, saying that there's ghosts and stuff. And then Rose, I almost called her Sarah now. Sorry. Rose says, you know, I basically just told Trevor everything that I told you. And then he just gave you a really kind of exaggerated version of everything I told you. So, you know, and she says, I'm not seeing anything anymore. And then the phone rings though. And the therapist lady's like, are you gonna get that?
Yeah.
And so she gets it, and it took me a second to clue in because it said like Madeline or something on the phone.
Yeah.
And I didn't remember her first name or her name in general. And so I was like, who is this? And then I was like, oh,
it's the fucking therapist.
It's the therapist on the phone calling to see if she's okay. Well, meanwhile, the therapist is sitting right in front of her.
Yeah.
Supposedly. And then all of a sudden she just, you know.
Rose does a really good job too. I love how she's like, no, it can't be. And
she was a pretty good actress.
Yeah, she was doing pretty good job. She sold fear pretty well.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God. And so the therapist is like doing this thing where it's like, I love how the aspect ratio kind of changes a bit. So it looks like she's like obviously like more overpowering, you know, and coming towards her. And Rose is trying to get to, you know, away from her. She ends up going downstairs, and she's up against the wall. And the therapist, I love it, just comes and just like is like salivating at the mouth, like it wants to devour her. And it says, it's almost time, Rose.
Yeah, but it was so comical because I liked the salivating. The almost time Rose came
before that, whenever they were on the couch.
Yeah, and it gave her like a double voice kind of thing, and so that made me laugh kind of a little bit. I would have rather it just been
her voice.
Yeah. But then this whole salivating thing and stuff, like it did want to devour her, was terrifying. And just how it gripped her by the mouth. I thought I thought at that moment she was maybe going to die. I was
Yeah.
like, oh.
I thought that what's happening now. But no, it doesn't. It just like pans out to like an overview of the house. And then at this point, we have her going to the hospital. She's driving because I think at this point she's now just like, I think that's kind of what broke her. And I think was really thinking at that point, like, I'm going to go kill somebody to get rid of this. And so she ends up going to the hospital where she works, and we see her hide a knife and tuck it into her little armhole of a sweater and sleeve. There you go. And because I forgot what sleeves are called, not holes. And so she ends up going in. She goes to Carl's room, and you can already tell he's like terrified of her.
Yeah.
Because of what she had, happened to him. And he is in the corner of the room. And I think at this point, did the doctor already walk in or not yet?
Yeah, Dr. D walks in and he's like, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be with the patients right now. And she's kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And then she slips the knife out of her sleeve and then just turns around and goes ham on Carl. Just starts
stabbing him. And it's when he starts smiling at her that she like starts going even more.
Yeah. Because she stabs him first time and it's kind of like, oh fuck, what did I do? But then he starts like smiling and almost laughing too as he's getting stabbed repeatedly in her face. And then she turns around because Dr. D's being like, dear God, like what the fuck are you doing? Rose, stop it. And she turns around and then he just peels his face off.
I didn't like this part.
You thought it was like not.
I thought it was just like, why would we? That kind of takes it out of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a bit like funny to me, comical.
Yeah.
Almost in a way.
I would have liked it had he not ripped his face off. Yeah. That just was the only part that made me be like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like it would have, or like, why didn't he like run up, like walk up to her and then like grab her arm and then just start stabbing himself.
That would have been
epic.
Good.
Yeah. But she ends up basically like coming to because it was all another dream. Like she has a lot of hallucinations.
Yeah, that are happening.
Then I'm trying to think, like, is she just standing, like, was she asleep or is she just like losing track of time and she's just there like, I don't know. We don't see it.
Yeah, dissociating and stuff.
We don't know. But her actual Dr. D, the real guy, pops up at the window and he's like, hey, like, are you okay? What are you doing here? And at that point, does he see the blade or no?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, right.
He sees it the blade there
and he's like, I think you should come in. Like, I think you shouldn't be alone right now.
And she was like, no, be alone. I need to be alone. That's exactly what I need.
Yeah, something literally clicked for her in that moment.
And then she just throws that car in reverse and
yeets out of there.
We get a quick flash of Carl's face bloodied on the car window. Instead of the doctor.
Oh, yeah, because that's what scares her even more, to be like, zoom in. And she takes off. She peels out. I'm surprised she didn't hit him or like run over his feet or anything or like do something
over someone else.
That's literally, I thought, oh my God, we're about to get into like a car accident situation. And then she was going to wake up like like in the hospital.
Yeah.
Strapped down. But imagine that. That should have happened actually. But she ends up driving away.
The different ways this could have ended.
And I'm already thinking like, because it had been brought up earlier in the movie whenever Holly and them were having conversation multiple times. She's like, oh, she's going to go to her mom's house. I know that's where we're going to.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as she pulled up, I was like, okay, we're going back to parents' house.
Yep. Back to where the OG trauma happened.
Yep. And then I was like, or maybe not. That's a shack.
Yeah. Very dilapidated in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah. Place looks condemned.
Yeah.
And like it needs to be.
And also it looks like it was like literally the size of this room.
Yeah, but that's what
that's what you meant by shack.
Yeah, that's why I got so confused because I was like, I distinctly remember whenever she was standing in the doorway that there was a hallway and with multiple rooms off of it.
It looked a lot bigger.
Yeah. But I guess a lot of the times houses, you get inside of them and they look bigger than they are.
That's true.
On the outside.
That's true.
So, but at first I was just like, okay, no, maybe this isn't the house. But then once we got in there and I was like, okay, there's a hallway. I was like, yeah, I guess it is. But yeah, wasn't sure at first. I mean, I was sure, and then I wasn't sure when I saw it.
Yeah.
Because it was so tiny.
Oh, and then right before she had even gotten to the place, Joel did call her on the way. And that's whenever he's like, hey, I saw an APB go out for you that you're dangerous. What's going on? Are you okay? And she's like, I'm going to be alone. I'm going to deal with this. I have a plan, and like kind of just hangs up. So he doesn't necessarily know where she's at, but we know that he knows that she's going somewhere. So that definitely comes into play. But yeah, she's in this dilapidated ass house, and she's kind of scoping around, and it's whenever she goes to her mom's old bedroom, right?
Yeah.
And we hear like kind of noises happening, supernatural noises, and she opens the door, and it's her mom there waiting for her. And this is where we kind of get like basically if it's supposed to be like a metaphor for her like confronting her worst trauma and trying to let it go, but she's having this conversation with her like, you know, I felt so guilty. Because we kind of get like we do learn kind of like a major like plotty, I don't know if it's a plot twist, but like a major like
that because that's not happening quite yet.
Oh, is it not?
The first time she opens the door, she opens it to reliving her trauma, and she's going in there, and we see that mom had asked for help, which we got briefly earlier whenever she was in the closet telling her, come here.
Yeah.
She was like saying, Rose, mommy made a mistake. Can you like help me kind of thing. And so, but she is still metaphorically like having to face her trauma in this moment, I guess, to overcome something.
Yeah.
But then she basically finds an oil lamp and stuff. And then that's when she hears something happening in the house. She hears the door open in the house. And then that's whenever she goes
into the bedroom.
And then this time her mom's sitting up and her mom is interacting with her, and it's not just her going through her trauma again.
And she doesn't look like how she looked like. She looks like, you know, okay.
Yeah, she's not dead.
And so this is where Rose is like, you know, I've carried this guilt so long because I feel like I could have helped you, but you know, in hindsight, like I couldn't have helped you. You needed more than what I could give you. And I was afraid of you. I was terrified of you. And so, you know, she basically was like, I let you die, but she kind of didn't, because it's like her mom dug her own grave at that point. You know what I mean?
And she was 10.
Yeah, she was 10.
She said, she was like, I was 10.
I was your child.
I was afraid of you. You were a monster.
Yeah.
What was I supposed to do?
Like, you were supposed to take care of me, but like, you know, here I am basically at your hand, like, you know, traumatized.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's all bad overall. And so at this point, with her saying like, you know, all these things, and I feel like she's really feeling like, you know, I'm closing a door. I'm not letting the trauma like grow anymore, so that way you have nothing to feed onto. But it's at this point that the mom turns and morphs into like this long, elongated version of what her mom was.
Yeah, giant
mom.
She stops the door, and then all of a sudden you see that as she yanks the door back open, that she's just this giant like
creature,
you know, like shoulders touching the ceiling kind of thing, having to be completely hunched over. She's so tall. And she just starts coming out, and I was like, ooh, that's creepy.
Yeah, which I mean is also a metaphor for like, you know, like your trauma and your fear and your anxiety, because it's like that monster that's like so big and overshadowing, you know.
Like, yeah. And I mean, even for what her mom was to her, she said, you know, you were a monster to me.
Yeah,
and
that's true. That's like the version of what she saw
becoming. Yeah.
And there's so many parallels here. Okay. And so she ends up then, you know, screaming at the monster thing that's coming towards her, like, you know, you have no more control over this, like I'm letting you go, like you because it's like I want to be in your mind, like I want to get in here. And she's like, well, if you're in here and we're here together, like, you know,
she says you can't escape. You can't escape your own mind.
She's like, well, and you can't escape my mind either. And so she ends up catching it on fire with the oil lamp, which is pretty funny, because then it just starts like all around. And on the floor starts catching obviously the whole like shack on fire, and she ends up walking out, and it's all catching on fire, and it's supposed to be like this, like, oh wow, okay, we did that.
Metaphorical.
At no point did I believe like this was, this is not the end.
I kind of went, that's a little too easy.
Yeah, that's because exactly, it was way too easy.
Yeah.
And so we like have this whole moment of her like, you know, the house is burning behind her. She drives away. It's the next day. Like she goes over to Joel's house and she's like, I beat it. Deuces. Not really. No.
Yeah.
She's like, it's funny because like doesn't even talk about what all just happened or anything. She's just like, I had walls built and I got too close to you and it scared me. So I was selfish and I ran away. I'm sorry. I still love you.
Yeah.
Basically.
She's basically giving him a big apology for why she acted the way that she did. She's come to some realizations now
about herself.
Now that she's faced her trauma and stuff like that. And then he says, you know, she says, I just need to sleep. Can I stay here and you stay with me while you sleep? Or while I sleep. And he was like, yeah, I'll stay with you. I'll stay with you forever.
So creepy. Starts smiling. And then once again, she's like, no. And yeah, I love how he's just standing there. And as soon as she kind of gets closer to the door, he just like bolts for her.
Yeah, that was creepy. I didn't like the way that but I saw it coming.
Yeah, same.
And I was like, okay, he's about to sprint. And then he did. And I was like, ah.
And it's the way she runs out the apartment door and we are running out of the house and she never fucking left. Never caught the monster on fire. She's once again been in some hallucination. Yes.
Which I was like, damn, she hallucinated a long ass chunk of a day.
Literally. Yeah.
Like whole next day, driving home, like who God knows
Hours.
how far away this parent's house was.
It literally, imagine that all happened in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. In her mind.
Could have.
And so, yeah, it's like, damn it. And as soon as she also runs out of the house, who else shows up? Fucking Joel.
Joel's there for real now, which is not good because now she's not alone.
Yeah. And also, doesn't he know how this works?
Yeah, at this point, he's got to know, like,
he's
I can't see this.
He's putting himself in the line of fire.
Yeah, for the lady that he loves.
And so, yeah, he goes up there. She goes, locks herself back inside of the house. And who pops out? The tall lady again, her monster mama. And yeah, it's pretty creepy how the way she comes out of into the living room situation. And then at this point, starts to peel off her. We get another face peel, but it's like this like double mouth hinged monster thing.
Yeah, it's got like several jaw bones that make it
and multiple teeth,
stacked,
right?
Like a tiered situation that's happening, and it was very creepy.
It reminded me very much of also too the way like because she's like obviously fearful, but then like as she's like screaming and looking at it and it reveals its true form to her, she's kind of like mesmerized. It gave like that's what I thought of too, like the dead lights.
Yeah.
And kind of like like a fish. What are those fish called?
Oh,
anglerfish.
Yeah.
Where they lure their things with like
long
with the
something.
With the little light bulb thing
in front of them. Yeah.
And so yeah, and basically we get this scene where she's like on her knees, mouth open, and it starts to unhinge her jaw and go inside of her.
Yep, rips her face open, goes inside, and then, which was like, oh, and then all of a sudden Joel breaks in, and
little too late,
yeah, because then we get, well, first off, the house is empty in that moment, and he's like, well, where is she? And then we hear this dripping coming from a corner of the room, and we look over there, and Rose is dousing herself in gasoline, just lighting herself or priming herself to light up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah. And it's also the way too, like in this moment too, that's why I was also saying earlier, like I feel like there's something supernatural in the way like the witnesses like then get like stuck in a trance, because like why did he not run up to her and try to get that match out of her hand? You know what's about to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For him, that it should have made sense.
Yeah.
Like in the doctor situation, I could see why maybe she couldn't, but for him, it seems like there's
intervene.
Yeah, you're just in some sort of trance where you can't.
And we get the point of view from like the camera zooming into his eyeball as she like sets herself on fire.
Yep.
And she's smiling and dying. Yeah, and that's it. And we now know that, I mean, Joel's gonna have to be dealing with this now. He's the new victim.
Yep. Guess if they wanted to make a smile too, they could.
Yeah.
Where it's all about Joel this time.
I was thinking of like, if I actually want a prequel. Because I'm like, this shit, like, how long, like, can this shit go for? You know what I mean?
For some reason, this is giving me a lot of Sinister.
Yeah, no, same vibes, because
Like-
it was very much how they got themselves tied in of like the house owners and the kids, whatever, all that.
Yeah. And
I could see that.
having to live in the last one's place and stuff like that. And then also, like you said, it follows kind of thing without it being a sexually transmitted disease, basically. But just with the music, with that, I feel like really maybe the director or screenwriter, whoever it was, watched Sinister and said, you know what, let's make this a little different.
But not too different.
And then have a monster creature that's not the ghoul. But
and I also kind of thought like, wow, two films in 2022, Barbarian and this one that came out around the same time that had kind of like a large
creature.
woman kind of creature thing, like that also sounds too like, because I know like in studio land in Hollywood, like a studio, like they try to beat each other, you know, like, oh, you're gonna make this kind of movie, oh, we're gonna do it first,
we're gonna do it better, and we're gonna do it first,
and push up the release date so we get it out first, kind of situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know,
these came out
relatively close to each
right
other,
next to each other. Yeah.
But yeah, I if we're gonna get into boo ratings, I think that it is a solid 3.5 for me ish. Yeah. I don't know. Like there are certain things, I can't talk to there are certain things that I liked about it and certain things that I was kind of like, that took me out of the experience. And also like, I really, for some reason, I don't know why it bothered me. The blood looked so fake to me throughout the entire film that I was like, why does that look so cheap? Like I was like, this movie feels like it has a big enough budget for that to
17 billion
for that to
is what the budget was.
For that to have not looked so like just cheap and ineffective. I don't know. It just didn't, especially even when for me, mostly when she was stabbing Carl, it was like she stabbed him and then immediately it was like, but like in
giant blood
and like but
she hit a little packet.
Not even,
then,
no, but like in a like computer generated way. It looked like whenever you have a puddle of water and you put down a paper towel and it just like expands. Yeah, like I don't know, but actually it's a 3. It's kind of right in the middle of the road. I feel like it has a really cool kind of allegory between, you know, trauma and turning it into like an actual real kind of monster situation. But maybe as you're pointing out to me, I can see where like creatively wise, I guess this film kind of does seem like it pulls from like, it like mixed 5 or 4 different movies and put it into one essentially. But there were a few moments that I was actually pretty creeped out in this film, like the jump scare, and then the whole creature, I don't know what to call it, humanized monster thing at the end, that kind of freaked me out too. But I really liked Sosie Bacon. I thought she did a really good job in her performance.
Yeah, I agree.
And you can tell I'm hungry. The scene, there's a few scenes that kind of stood out to me in terms of like they either made me feel a certain way, or like that scene with her and Mustache and like the whole party scene and like when she fell back and stuff and she's just like screaming with the blood and stuff all over her. Like I thought like, okay, that's pretty powerful, and like explaining kind of the whole situation of the whole movie is essentially like all this fucked up shit happening to one person, and like she's just like there in terror and nobody believes her, nobody's helping her, she's just kind of going through it alone.
Yeah. I would agree.
So I give it a 3 boos.
I think I will give it a 2.5. Yeah. There were a lot of moments where I really wanted to like it. And there were a lot of things that I think were done really well. Like, you know, this movie there were actually 2 jump scares for me. One of the second one I think was with the big mom creature. I think there's like one point where she like grabbed her shoulder or something, or turned her around, and it made me jump.
Oh yeah.
So there were multiple instances that obviously freaked me out enough to make me jump
Mm-hmm.
and in this movie. So I think I've got to give it credit for that. And then there were a bunch of scenes that I thought were really done well. And then there was just something at the end that made me not like it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the guy ripping his face off and stuff and things like that. That it was like it was almost really good, and then they took it too far.
Or or maybe you know what it is. A few moments too. Also, it was an hour and 50 something minutes. I feel like, hear me out, there were a few scenes that could have been cut out,
Yeah,
and like
that's
it's
what- and like
and
I
it still
said,
could have made sense.
A lot of the scenes felt like bloopers / deleted scenes that could have been on the deleted scene reel.
Yeah.
And it would have just been like, oh, okay, that's fun or like to watch like an extended edition
Mm-hmm.
or something. But like there were several scenes where I didn't feel like it was really driving the plot or doing much of anything.
Extra fluff.
Yeah, it was just there. And then I didn't have an issue with anyone's acting. I thought everyone did a pretty great job.
Mm-hmm.
It was all rather believable. There was one moment during the hallucination scene where Dr. D, before he rips his face off, was like, with this almost like comical gasp on his face.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that was intentional or if that was just the best that they could get in that situation. But other than that, the acting was all pretty good for me. The soundtrack is another thing that I have to take away from because it wasn't driving any narrative or story. It was just kind of there and overpowering in some moments when I would have rathered the use of silence and stuff like that. I don't necessarily
love you some silence.
Yeah, I do. And this one, it had it in the most unnecessary of scenes for me a lot of the times. There were other moments where it was used really well.
Yeah.
Because again, it was a cool sounding soundtrack. It sounded really neat, but there were just times where they just used it a bit too much.
It was a bit heavy.
Yeah, this whole film, in my opinion, feels like something that was a really good idea, and then they were like, okay, let's just run with it. And they just took it. They took a good idea, and it's like, Grey's Anatomy or something, where a television show's gone on for 13
a little bit too long
seasons, and it's like, okay, towards the end, last like 3 seasons. I've never watched Grey's Anatomy in my life. I've never seen a single episode, but I know that
it's
many
lost its
people
mojo.
say it is lost
for a while now.
Yeah, and so that's what I feel like. This film just took things and went a little bit too far with it, and it to the point where it lost its appeal for me.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that. Where I was I feel like it could have been edited down just a little bit more, keep those ideas a little bit more concise, and it would have had, if not the same effect, a better effect probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can see that.
Do you want some?
Is there a fun fact for these?
There is.
For this film?
Ooh. A couple of days before the September 30th, 2022 release, actors from the film showed up at various baseball games, sitting behind home plate dead still and smiling while staring into the camera, unmoving despite fans in the audience being understandably concerned, while wearing smile t-shirts. Another one of them appeared in the background with the crowd during the Today Show as well. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I remember that they had that campaign before this movie came out, and they were sending not just like the actors, but like random people like out and just smiling.
Yeah.
And to promote it.
I like this fact. The smiles in the film are all natural and not enhanced with any visual effects. The studio even asked if they could be tweaked, but Parker Finn stuck to his guns as he wanted them to be grounded in their creepiness, which I think is really good. Oh, I said 17 billion. It was 17 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Paramount originally planned for this film, which had a low budget of 17 million, to be a streaming only release on Paramount Plus. The film was screened for test audiences and scored much higher than anticipated, prompting Paramount to give the film a theatrical release in the United States. It grossed 22 million over its opening weekend, which Paramount's distribution chief Chris Arson said exceeded our wildest expectations.
So we definitely might get something sequel, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, the film was originally titled Something's Wrong with Rose, before being renamed Smile.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Even though Smile was like the main thing,
Yeah.
like nothing changed, but it was called Something's Wrong with Rose. That's a horrible title.
Horrible
I'm glad
name.
they changed it.
Yes, exactly.
And I mean, that's kind of honestly, I mean, it's ingenious also too to have a horror movie called Smile, because it's supposed to be like the most benign thing, you know, but
Yeah.
make it scary, make it evil. Like, yeah.
That's, Something Wrong with Rose is not. Like, there's some movies, like, I'm the pretty thing that lives inside the house or lives in the house.
Yeah, but like,
that
there are long titles, but There's Something Wrong with Rose is not
fitting.
a good long title.
Because I'm the pretty thing that lives in the house is an art film. So it deserves an artful title like that. And then, no, There's Something Wrong with Rose. It felt like it was trying to be artsy at some point.
There was a lot of stylistic choices in this movie.
Yeah.
Like where it was like they were like all the upside down shots and like the way they would introduce a frame or transition the camera at certain points. It was very like, okay, there's a lot of stylistic choices being made for the movie. Yeah.
Which, again, I don't think they did that wrong. It was just they just hammered it in a little too heavy, painted it on a little too thick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like some nuance.
I do. Anyways, well, there you have it. A 2.5 and a 3. So 2.75.
2.7.
2.7.
There you go.
For 2022's
Smile.
Yay.
I wish we had a little. And that I guess kind of concludes like our decades of horror.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, because we've been doing them all the way up.
We can't
since
go
the
into
60s.
the future.
We can't, no. But definitely in the search of the movies that we have covered, we've also seen other movies that we're like not seen maybe just yet, but like saw movies that sound interesting that we might cover here soon. So might not be a part of some whole overall scheme, but Ponzi scheme here. But we might just cover some other things. We got some ideas, but it's really interesting to see horror, and there's just like the amount of growth and how many subgenres and the amount of ways that you can scare people. Yeah.
And then also seeing how horror has held up over the decades, because there have been some obvious improvements from obviously the 60s to now. But then there were moments in Psycho and stuff that I think held up way better than a lot of
like the
stuff.
newest CGI or newest thing to make it look so visually real. Because especially like that moment when Marion is getting stabbed in the shower, like fake as fuck, but it's so iconic. Like it's such a moment. You know what I mean?
It was unprecedented
for the
that time. And so it made it incredible. And you have to kind of look at it through that lens. I mean, you can't just be like, oh, I give this movie no credit.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Doing something as iconic and pivotal as that. So
yeah, I loved it. And also, once again, like always, we're in the lovely Rogue Media Network studio. They take such good care of us. And if you would like to listen to our podcasts or any other podcasts, you can do that on their lovely website. I almost had it. Almost did it all the way on roguemedianetwork.com.
That's right. And you can listen to us or any of the other podcasts on a slew of podcasting platforms, but the biggest two would be
Spotify
and also Apple. And wherever you do listen, don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right, because that is the only way we can get ahead in this world. And then also word of mouth. Tell your friends.
Tell your lovers, tell your partners, tell your sisters, tell your
dogs,
brothers,
tell your cats.
Anybody who can listen.
Yeah. And then get their little paws to write reviews.
Please do so.
Little kitty typing on a computer.
Little toe beans.
Meow, meow, meow. Cats can type.
They
We
spell
proved
ghoul.
it today. They spelled ghoul.
Which is the perfect review.
Yep. Ghoul.
It's fitting. It's in theme.
This podcast, ghoul. Very ghoul.
Very ghoul. You can count Dracula. You can do that. And also send us, DMs, slide up in there and tell us what you think about the movies we're covering. It could be a recent episode. It could be an episode from last year, 2 years ago. It could be anything. It could be something that you want us to cover that we haven't covered yet. All of that, Mojo Jojo. Where can they do that, Caitlin? What did they do?
On Instagram, and that is at
Boobays Podcast, and that's BOOBAES because we're your boobays, not your boobabes.
That's right. And until next time, you guys, we don't know what we're going to do yet, so
make sure to smile.
Yeah.
Bye, babe.
Sausage.
Sausage.
Okay.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.